Welcome back to the Compound Podcast, episode 106. I got that right. Presented by Parce Rum. We have a very special surprise guest. I didn't tell the boys about this, that you were coming on, because we've been promising you on this podcast for the better part of a year.
Well, hang on a second. And it's mostly, I'd say 90% your fault, because you literally asked me like 5 hours before you want to do it. Okay. Give me a couple of days and I'm yours.
Well,
right?
today I gave you like 10 hours heads up, and that was a big deal.
Well, I got nothing to do now. Okay. So I'll
Just
be on your
hanging out.
next podcast too.
So you went on part of my take, and it was the unofficial retirement announcement.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of hit me with it, and I wasn't going to lie to them. You know, you were probably one of the first guys that knew. Like I said, probably it's at season's end, probably sometime in October. You know, I knew it. It was just, I mean, I feel good. Body feels good. Velocity is still fine, but I could not command the ball anymore. The shoulder doesn't feel the way it used to, and I don't want to go out there and just get my ass kicked. So I'm going to move on. You know, happy with the way it went, and it's time to go on to something else.
People in Chicago. Go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to say, do you have any plans currently?
A lot of plans, actually. There's a couple things, you know, that I've been talking about with some people that can't necessarily share a lot of details about. Wish I could. In the next few days, we could probably get back to that. Some other things going on with, there's a guy, his name's Josh Serlin. He is the founder of a company called Black Bear. It's an apparel company. I've been talking a lot with him. He's actually in Japan currently, sourcing a lot of his new materials. So look forward to working on something with him. A little collaboration is probably going to happen in the future. And fashion is something that, you know, I've always been interested in. Hap, you and I have talked about getting involved in some sort of apparel company down the road.
Yeah.
And now with the time, you know, I think that's something we should explore a little bit further. So that should be a fun project.
As you talk about fashion, I'm thinking about when you bought that hat.
This hat?
Yeah.
Dude, I got absolutely scammed. All right. I mean, it's the best looking hat at F1. I'm like, all right, I need that. That's $120. Okay, I'll take two. Right. Because I mean, look at it. It's stained to death. And that's why I've got a backup. I literally wear it every day. It's my favorite hat.
We were at the F1 race, and Jake came back from the merchandise tent with two of those hats. It's like most expensive hat I've ever seen in my life. $120 a pop. Had to support though. Had to. You know, it's a nice hat. It's a nice.
If it's $120, you better wear it every single day.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a sweat stain. It's a good hat though. You know, support Lewis Hamilton. And you know, when I'm driving a Mustang every once in a while, and people look at me like, "Why the hell you got a Mercedes hat on?" I'm like, "All right, easy with the questions. It's a nice hat. Let's just move on, okay?"
They got to learn about F1.
And I do too. Honestly, I've learned a lot from you. I know you're a huge F1 fan.
Way in.
Follow it extremely closely. Matt, I don't know if you know Matt Duffy at all personally, but he's also a diehard F1 fan. And I've told him he's got to come down and go with us next year.
You know, we were all teammates last year, right? We all played together.
I was going to say, weren't you all on the same team?
Yeah, that's a great point. That is such a good point.
Hey, he's retired. Give him a break.
Yeah. Hey, seriously. You know what? And I actually, another thing that I messed up. So when I was talking to the guys on PMT, they were asking me about the wild card game. And I believe that I said that Schwarber hit a leadoff homer, and he actually hit a homer in the third inning. You know, that was like 12 years ago. So
you were so locked in. You just didn't. We scored one run. That's all we needed. Didn't matter.
That was a fact. That story actually happened.
Didn't you tweet something before that game too?
Yeah, I was getting a lot of heat from Pittsburgh fans, and there was this parody account. I don't even remember the name of it, but they said something like black and gold or black and yellow is going to be all over you all night, yada yada. And I sent out, I mean, I don't know the exact words, but it said something like, you know, whatever helps keep your hope alive, just know it doesn't matter. And then in the stands, you know, some guy had that tweet printed out on a giant poster board, and then next to him and I think they were all over the stadium. I saw it a couple of times, huge cutouts of my wife's face. You know, that's good. That's good BS. I liked it. And at the time, ultimately confident, didn't really matter what they did or said, it went down the way it went down.
I mean, how great does that feel to then go out there and just shove it up their ass? I mean, 9
Well,
innings, 11 punches.
It looks pretty bad if I get my ass.
Yeah,
kicked, doesn't it?
exactly. You
Right,
got to back
right.
that up.
You have to. And, really at the time I felt, inside of me that I was unbeatable at the time. Not that, I wasn't capable of going out there and giving up a few runs and losing the ball game. It was just kind of the way I felt internally at that point in time. And to kind of breathe that confidence amongst my teammates too was something that I feel like helped put us over the top.
Especially that year coming off the 2015 run, right? That was 15 because I had just been drafted. I was in Arizona and watched the game in AZ. But being around the clubhouse today with the reporters and everything, kind of after that announcement came out, or was that 2 days ago? Whenever it was.
Yeah, a couple of days ago.
Around the reporters, the only thing they could talk about was like your career stat line in Chicago. They were like, that was absolutely unbelievable. And the 15-16 run that you were on, it was just like everybody was talking about the last couple of days, like remembering how fucking nasty that was.
And I honestly, I couldn't even go back and tell you what I did in each game. I don't know if you're like that, right? Like if you're detail oriented enough to like be able to know what you did in each game, like for, months. Like I can't do that. I knew it was a phenomenal run, right? But it was like one game would happen, and then it was basically, out of sight, out of mind, prepare for the next one, go out there and compete, right? So like people will ask me sometimes, hey, tell me about the game against St. Louis and like in August. I'm like, I need to see it again. I don't really know. I know it was pretty damn good. It was probably at least 7 innings, maybe 1 run or less, right? But it's just and you've had those moments too at the plate, right, or whatever. You almost feel like, all right, the ball looks huge, the swing is precise, I'm always on time, and it's just clicking, right? And for whatever reason that happens, it just so happened to continue on for 3 or 4 months.
When you were in the middle of it, did you know how special it was? Like, did you know that it was like, this is absolutely ridiculous?
Yeah, and honestly, the only reason I knew is because you get texts from family and friends that send you tweets or articles that the reporters put out there about your last 7 starts or haven't allowed an earned run or more than 1 earned run and whatever, what I'm saying? So that's really the only reason I recognize any of it. And I understand why people do it. People get excited, right? Your buddies are proud of how you're performing. They want to send you that kind of stuff. I try to not really look at it too much, but yeah, I mean, that's really the only reason I knew about any of it.
So I'm also a pitcher. Like between outings during that run, like were you someone that did the same exact thing every time, or did you not really focus too much on like not superstitions per se, but like the same exact routine?
I mean, pretty much. There'd be days where I would. The only thing that might change is I throw a bullpen on day 2 versus day 3, right? Based on how the body felt. I was always big on just listening to the way things were feeling, right? If my shoulder was hanging a little bit or back was tight, hamstrings were tight, I might push things back a little bit, or I wouldn't work out quite as heavy, just so I could have a little bit more recovery. Or if we were going to, if I had to, pitch a West Coast game coming from Chicago or vice versa, just taking it a little bit easier, right? And I love to run a lot, and there'd be times where I'd go. I love to run in visiting stadiums, right? Go out there early, kind of run the stadium up through the seats in the top section, and sometimes I'd leave the stadium, just kind of run around the city for a little while, right? So sometimes just pulling that back a little bit or throwing several less pitches on the side. But as far as, day-to-day stuff, it's pretty similar, right? I think the biggest change is really when I would throw my side.
But you weren't like, I went to this coffee shop last time, I got to go to this coffee shop again.
Well, I mean, being a coffee nut, like I'm sure you guys are, I know Ian is, I'd pretty much stick to the same spots really on the, how it is on the road. We have our spots. We like to get our coffee. We like to grab breakfast or lunch, whatever the case is. So yeah, I mean, I think that routine, definitely stayed the same. Days I pitch, man, I would, the night before I would eat a huge dinner, like late at night. Right. And then I wouldn't eat really anything. I'd have like a juice and a coffee probably around noon. And then I'd get to the field and have something super light, maybe like, protein shake or honestly some greens and some fruit. And that's it. And then after the game, I would just dominate anything in sight. Cause I don't know about you, but I didn't like to go out there and compete with anything heavy in my system. Like when you eat a big meal, you feel kind of lethargic, your energy level kind of comes down. So I try to avoid that, right? On start days, it's pretty easy too. Only having to do it once every 5 days.
That's sometimes in the minors we'll have double headers, and last year I swear we had a between game pasta, and I was like, there's no way I'm eating pasta and then going out there and throwing the next game.
Yeah, it's tough environment there too when you don't have many choices, right?
Yeah,
it could be like concession food from the up top, chicken fingers and and French fries. So what are you gonna do?
For sure.
Snake, the Pittsburgh spread, the famous Pittsburgh spread with the yum yum.
Oh yeah.
So we were just
still got it.
Well, yeah, of course. We were just in Pittsburgh, and we got a new nutritionist, and she wanted to do it pregame. And I was like, you do that pregame, you're gonna have a bunch of guys you're gonna have to roll people onto the field.
Well, she's got a lot to learn then, I guess.
Yeah, there's a spread in Pittsburgh, which is basically like
it's like hibachi.
Yeah, it's like hibachi, and they have like the like shrimp fried rice and chicken fried rice with the yum yum sauce. It's like the best spread ever, and guys just absolutely crush it after use.
Yeah, you guys have been to like the flaming hibachi deal where they got the sauce for the seafood. It's kind of like a more like salsa type of sauce, and then like the white sauce, which is kind of like a more thinned like mayonnaise, which is the yum yum. And it's fucking delicious, right? It's 4 or 5 ounces at least. I don't know, man. Look, maybe you should try it pregame. Does it make you feel bad? You're eating too much of the rice.
I don't think it would make you feel good. You'd have like a whole thing of rice. You'd be
really you would have a whole thing of rice. I'm a protein guy. You're a carb guy.
You don't eat anymore. Look at you,
dude. I'm 220. I'm 224, and I'm just peeled. I mean, come on.
What was your playing weight last year?
Probably 230.
But you're just shredded right now.
Shredded. You've seen it.
You could get in an F1 car right now. That's how lean you are.
I'm 6'4", buddy. I don't think I have the wrist strength to turn that wheel like those guys do.
Too much wind resistance on your head, huh? Sticking above the car.
Dude, I'm a 10 from the eyebrows down. Leave me alone.
Jake, in 2017, when rookie Ian Happ comes to the big leagues, what do you got on him?
Extremely quiet, but well beyond his years in terms of how he goes about himself. Right.
I was gonna say he's not like a typical rookie. He's pretty mature.
No, he's not. I think a lot of that, and Ian would probably attest to it. Is a lot of that will come from his brother, right? Like Chris is really smart guy, and Hap is interested in a lot of other things other than baseball, which I think that's one reason that me and him have become such good friends. He's not just this this rock thrower that plays baseball. He's multifaceted. He's well-rounded. He's got a lot of interest, and he's ambitious outside of the game, and obviously he works extremely hard on his craft. But he's not shy about kind of looking at other opportunities and exploring things for, post baseball, whenever that time comes. Hopefully he plays for another 15 years. But What you don't see enough players do is put time and effort into some other hobbies or interests, right? Because whether we like it or not, and this is a quote that I heard my very first spring training from one of the union guys. He said, "You're going to be a former player a lot longer than you are a current player," and that's one of the things that's stuck with me my entire career. And hey, look, obviously we got to put a lot of time and effort into our career and our craft on the field, but we still have some downtime, right? And we have other interests. We're not just baseball players. So yeah, that's one thing that I respected about Ian immediately. And that's why we've got so many things in common.
Zach, I think you were looking for him to shit on Ian, and it turned more into a fluff.
No, I knew he wasn't going to shit on him just because of how close Ian was with the older guys when he just got there. I knew he wasn't going to go there, but I also didn't know he was going to go into much of that big of a fluff either.
Well, I mean, hey, he's one of my guys. Come on. I don't have many bad things to say about him. I mean, there's one. I mean, it's not even bad, but a funny story. I don't know how much
here we go.
I can tell about it, but I saw him kind of out of sorts the most I've ever seen him when we were in Colorado at Ballyneal. I took the boys golfing, and I'll just kind of get to the end of it. We can get deeper into it later, but the night's winding down. I don't know if it's like 2:00 or whatever time it is at night. And we're staying in these, like, it's this golf course called Ballyneal in Holyoke, probably what, 2.5, 3 hours from Denver. Is that right?
3 hours, like dead east of Denver, basically in Kansas.
So it's where it looked like we were playing golf on the moon. So beautiful course though. So I got a buddy who's a member there. We land, we get a rental car from the airport. We drive straight there. And I love long drives. So these guys are kind of in the back. You know, I don't know if Davies was sleeping or whatever. You might have been passed out.
I think I was sleeping.
You were probably passed out. All right. So we get there. We play some cards. We had a few drinks. Then the next day, we play golf all day. I don't know how many holes, right? We played like 50 holes.
More than 36.
Right.
God.
So, because we played 36, and then one of the guys challenged me to like a 9-hole match, and two of the guys caddied for us. It was a blast.
It was a high stakes match too.
A high stakes match, right? I ended up winning, and that night carries on. A few more drinks are going on, right? And one of the things that I'm pretty good at, like, lasting all night, and I'll be looking around and no one's there hanging out with me. So I lose Ian for probably 30 minutes. I thought he went to sleep. So I think it was me and Davies. I'm going back to my room, and I walk outside, and I see Ian. I think you're in pants. He's in pants, no shirt, and he's just sitting there with an empty water bottle, just kind of staring into space. Just nothing there, just gone. Right. So I go up to him, and I'm like, "Hey man, like, I think it's time to call it." And he's like, "Okay," no words, just kind of shakes his head. Yeah, all right. And then passes out. And he was back the next morning. We had to drive to Denver and play a baseball game.
Yeah, I was locked in. I think you got a couple knocks that night.
I'm pretty sure you did. I didn't have to do anything, so I felt great.
Yeah, that's what happens when you play 36. You walk 36 too, walking only, 36 holes. Only. I will also say on that trip, I saw Snake have the most impressive putter toss I have ever seen. It might have been a wedge.
It was a wedge.
It was a wedge.
It was a wedge. You want to tell him why?
Because he hit the most unbelievable drive, 375 yards right down the middle. Into
this tiny bottleneck of a fairway. And the green, I can almost touch it. It's like right here. Go ahead.
Was it a chunk or a skull, or then a chunk skull?
God, who knows? I don't even know.
I think he laid the sod over it about 15 feet. Then he got up to it. This is now his third shot, and sculled it over the green. And at that point, the wedge went 100 yards in the other direction.
It's a straight helicopter.
It was the most amazing toss I've ever seen. I loved every second of it.
And I still use that club.
Yeah, it survived.
I have no idea why. Well, that's one of that's. Go ahead. I'm pissed.
Well, I'm just saying we got to the next tee and he was right back with it. He was excited to hit the next tee shot. It was a 30-second snap. He walked directly to the next tee and then he was locked in.
And I don't throw clubs often. I really don't. But that's just one of those moments where, I'm sitting over here watching Ian. He's probably 1 under on a pretty friggin' hard course. Okay.
That was tight.
And I'm like 4 over, and I just, I hit a beauty, and then I end up making a triple. Okay. I'm 7 feet from the green. I made a triple. All right. Line 1, 7 feet.
Not supposed to be like that.
Zach, I've seen you throw a club or two.
No, I don't. I don't like throwing clubs. I don't.
You don't really throw them. You more like slam them. Like you're more of like a stomp it into the ground.
Yeah. That's
Snake,
it. Right
Zach's got a really good game. Zach's like a +1 or 2.
Zach's better than Ian.
Well then, of course. No shit. He doesn't throw clubs. You got to be a 6, at least a 6 or worse to throw clubs.
I throw clubs all the time because I suck. So there you go.
And there's something about it, like you don't want to hurt the club, but just the release, right? And you have to know at least a general direction or idea of what's in that area. Which at this time I had never been to this place. Like I said, it was this dune style rolling course that looked like the moon. Beautiful though, and I threw it up over a hill. It could have been gone. Right?
It could have been gone forever. You could have thrown it into a sand dune and never came back.
I could have hit an 85-year-old man too. I could have been kicked out right on the 4th hole.
Very possible.
That's what people. If you're gonna throw a club, you got to know where you're throwing it. You have to pick it out. Say, oh, that'd be a good spot to throw it. But also, as soon as you release it, it's the worst. Like 5 seconds, you're just like, oh my god, what did I just do?
Yeah. Well, I don't know why you're even saying that. You probably never thrown a club. You're a +2. All right. No, you're just trying to make me feel better.
No, believe me, there's a lot of frustration in this game.
Well, I'd love to be well, I don't know if I'd like to be a +2. God, why are you playing? Why are you playing baseball?
Believe me, and struggling too. Believe me, I know.
Come on.
It's all a struggle. Well, you're in AAA. You're right there.